Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. There you I like that. So thank you all for watching. This is Dice Tower Con 2018. We're bringing you all the board game coverage all weekend long. But first up, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
We're Twist Gaming, and we're joined here with Ian from Catan Studio. How you doing today, Ian?
Hi, I'm great.
I thought you were Ian.
What? I'm the great Ian, or Ian the Great, as I say to myself in the mirror every morning to boost myself up for the day.
Oh, good, because I'm Dad.
First and foremost, Ian, I have to ask you, how is Dice Tower Con treating you so far?
Great. This is actually my first Dice Tower Con, and it's a great convention. Great gaming, great people, great atmosphere. We're getting a lot of people to experience Catan for the first time and reintroduce
people
them.
that haven't experienced Catan yet?
Yes, we are. There are many people in the world that are being introduced to board games every day. So we get some of those new people, introduce them to Catan, and then introduce people who have played Catan and maybe not come back to it in a while to some of the new things that we're doing.
Very cool.
So let's talk about some of those new things that you're doing here. I see you brought
Good
a game,
segue, right?
and it's like this guy right here.
Yes.
So this is Catan Rise of the Incas. So it's Catan
Absolutely.
Histories.
Yes, so we have a histories line of games, and so Klaus Teuber is a big history buff, and that's kind of where Catan originated in his mind, right? It's a Viking tale. He likes the stories of Vikings, how they would embark out and explore, find new islands and settle those, and so every once in a while he gets an idea for a way to explore human history through the game of Catan, and so we did Settlers of America, which is the railroad exploration out west and delivering goods to the frontier, and this is the newest standalone histories game, Rise of the Incas. And here you're going to be exploring the rise and decline of ancient civilizations that empires ultimately rise from. So they all grab different cultural elements, different scientific advances, and then eventually someone comes along and unifies all of those ideas into a grander empire or grander culture.
Very cool. So I'm just looking at the llama or alpaca down there at the bottom of the board.
We got a llama too. We got the llama with the robbers here, so it's not bad.
So what is the difference between a llama and an alpaca?
So I have a very superficial knowledge of the difference. I
Okay.
know that alpacas are typically woollier, fuller, and llamas are more pack animals.
Okay.
Maybe a llama is more akin to a donkey for farm usage, and an alpaca is more of a sheep. They're fluffy all the way
That's
down.
actually a really good explanation. I
Oh,
like
good.
that.
I've been practicing.
So, can you talk to us a little bit more in depth about how this differs from the standard Catan that we all know and love?
Yeah, so the basic gameplay is everything that anybody who's played Catan will understand. You're going to be placing down settlements, rolling the dice to collect resources, building roads, building additional settlements, upgrading those settlements into cities. And we have all new sculpts for this game to represent Incan architecture. So we have this is the city. You can see the peaked roofs that they were well known for. So you're going to be playing through 3 different eras, 3 different tribes as you play through the game. Each era will hit a victory point threshold to show that particular tribe has reached the pinnacle of their civilization, and then they'll begin to go into decline, and you'll set up a new tribe in another area of the map. And how that works is that, so this is a representation of the Black Pieces player who has reached 4 points. They have 2 settlements. Each settlement is worth one point, and a city is worth 2. What you do in that case is you remove all of your roads from the game. They're no longer in heavy use because for whatever reason that particular tribe has gone into decline. And then these will be green. These are prototype pieces right now. But and then you put green ivy or vines over all of your settlements to show that they've become.
They're starting to like decay and get weathered and stuff like that.
And then you'll take a new settlement and you'll find an open space on the board and you'll start a new tribe from that open space, respecting the 2 distance rule that is in Catan. These older settlements and cities can no longer be built from. You can't build a new road from them, or you can't upgrade a settlement to a city. However, as long as they're on the board in your color, they produce resources for you. Now, this is where some of the strategic elements come into play that's different from Catan. So any settlement that is in decline, an opponent, or yourself, if you want to get that spot back, can build roads over and then build a settlement on that spot, removing the vines and swapping out the color if need be to then take that spot for themselves.
So like they're demolishing the city and then putting
Yep.
a new one, or like
Or-
they're
or-
taking over the city, something
Yep. So
like that.
either adopting those people into their culture, finding new lands to settle and take over. The theme is a little open for interpretation in that case. But for whatever reason, that ancient tribe that went into decline and is not necessarily there anymore has been renewed into this new era, and potentially by a new player. So it creates a very dynamic game board, as you may start over here with the early game, getting lots of wood and brick for your road building, and then suddenly you're over here and all you're getting is cocoa and ceremonial feathers.
It sounds like a party, though.
So a few other minor rule changes other than the displacement mechanic, which is very interesting. We have the longest road and largest army. They're called a little bit different names in the final product. Like longest road is longest trade route in this particular thing. The Incas were really well known for trade. Those don't grant victory points anymore. Instead, they give you an advantage during your turn. So the longest trade route only requires 3 roads instead of 5, because you're going to be removing your roads as you get into
The
different.
abandoned settlements and those kinds of things.
Yep. And so once you have the longest trade route, you can once per turn trade 2 to 1 with the bank on your turn. So little advantage there. The largest army, or I forget what we call it in the final product, allows you to take the robber, remove it from the board, send it back to the jungle, and the actual finished product has a frame around it that has jungle on the north and then sea on the south.
Gotcha. So it's like an outline that keeps all the tiles together.
Yeah. Yep. So you remove it from the board and say it was here. I would remove it from here. I would grab some clay bricks, and then I put it in the jungle. We chased it away, and they dropped whatever they were stealing. We have commodities in this as well. You can't build anything with them, but they offer trade potential. So it's good to sweeten the deal. Say somebody's trying to get a full set of them: a fish, cocoa, and ceremonial elements like feathers for headdresses and stuff. A set of the 3 you can trade in for 2 resources. So it's like, hey, I'll give you that fish you're looking for if you give me that wheat, or in this case potatoes, because potatoes are indigenous to the region. And a few other minor differences like that. A few other minor rules tweaks, but basically it adds a whole new level of strategy to the game of Catan without adding too much complexity.
Really cool, and I like the unique aspect of having the dynamic player board there, being able to take over people's civilizations from prior ages. I think that's a real neat element that I'm really interested in trying out. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that I've found the more I play it, and is that you get to a certain decision point where it's like, well, I could upgrade to a city this turn, but then that will put me in a decline, and this person could just easily grab it. So I'm going to wait until they build that settlement, which I think they can do, and then I'm going to do mine so that I can place my building right there and then immediately go take their spot. You find yourself holding on to development cards for longer on, so that you can build additional roads or get additional resources as soon as you place that settlement into your new era, so you can get that jump start. And there's quite a few hard decision points. To say, well, oh man, if I go here, I might be stuck.
I could see it playing a lot more cyclically too than like a standard version of Catan, where you have, since you're building a lot of things in one round, they might decline, and then you have like an ebb and flow where people are starting to take over other people's settlements, and you might have like lulls in some people's actions and then great booms in other areas.
Yeah, there was a game yesterday actually where we had somebody, they were in last place and the other 2 people were about to enter their 3rd and final age, and they finally hit their 2nd age, and they just steamrolled to the win because they were able to take advantage of the position on the board to then take away the 2 cities that had been getting the other players' resources, build their settlements there, and take advantage of that position and those resources.
It's very cool.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like that would really throw off like your play style and Josh's play style, because you guys tend to
Be aggressive. Yeah.
place items to steamroll to block people essentially, if for no other tactical advantage than to it's mine so that it's not yours.
Exactly. No,
So that would kind of, for me, like that's I don't enjoy. That's one of the reasons I don't like playing games with you guys. But I would play this game because that kind of gives players like me that advantage of you can't do that to me anymore.
At least not for the
and
entirety
you
of the
can
game.
still do that to for some extent, absolutely. Be like, well, I'm going to block you out here, but eventually those roads are going to be gone, and that settlement's going to be no longer a roadblock. You'll be able to take it for yourself. One of the fun things to do is when you get to place your settlement for free, when you go into decline, place your new settlement, you can look and go, oh, you're building roads over to there. Well,
Not anymore.
nope.
Yep. Fantastic. I love all of the effort that you guys put into to make the theme
Historically accurate.
Yeah, I know one of the things that we
Yeah.
talked about off stream was I got to hear a little bit about this game at Origins with Brooke, and Josh and I were talking beforehand, and I was like, there's a K in there, and it's not how I remember it being spelled, but you cleared that misconception up for me.
So a lot of people think, because the Germans also spell it with a K, that we're using the traditional German spelling, and we are making this in cooperation with our partners in Cosmos, and they're spearheading a lot of the development of this game. But the reason we went with the K is because that's the traditional Peruvian. The INCA spelling is from Spanish influence, and so we wanted to, since this is pre-Spanish and pre-conquistador days, we wanted to be a little bit more representative of the fact that this was its own culture before Western influence.
Very cool, and like even building upon what you were saying, and when you brought up the potatoes, it's just like I had heard that before, and like one of those today I learned things on Reddit where it's just like, oh, there's like 84 different types of potatoes in Peru because that's where they started, and it's just like, oh, and you brought them like, oh yeah, that's
No, it makes sense.
that makes sense.
Yeah, we've done some just just thematic changes as you mentioned to the game. I mean, for one, we all new artwork. It's beautiful. Again, this is a prototype. The colors will be a little more vibrant in the final product, but sticks and wood and clay bricks, pretty similar to wood and bricks in the original. But instead of sheep, who were not indigenous to the region, we have alpaca. Instead of wheat, we have potatoes, as you mentioned, and ore as well for creating for metal weapons and stuff like that. So.
Can we get a close-up look at the new sculpts? I mean, I know that these
yeah.
are prototype, but the
these are
detail...
these are 3D printed. But there's that's going to be the robber with their trusty pack llama, and then this is you might want to hold that up a little
dark.
bit. Yeah, so it's a little dark, but you can see the tall peaked roofs of the larger Incan buildings, and then there's a settlement right there. So they're modeled after tradition Incan architecture.
So that's the black's a little rough to see, but Matt, when you caught the light on it, you can see the intricate detail in just the little settlements.
No, the details are very nice.
There it goes. Yeah.
There we go.
Highlighting.
Yeah, and the roads as well. I mean, they're not quite as exciting as the buildings, but if you want to show the road as well, and then this is what the ivy and vines will look like. They'll be
the ivy
plant colored, but
I'm super excited.
So and you
these.
can only show that how that goes over. You just when you go put in
I
the client, you
love
just
when the
plop it right
components
there.
fit together in a game like that. Just a little tactile element of that is just like it just is super nice for me. So I got to ask.
Yep.
When and where can we find Catan Rise of the Incas?
All right, Rise of the Incas will be officially releasing in mid to late September.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look to see if we can get some advanced copies for Gen Con, but at the very least, you'll be able to place an order for it at Gen Con. So very, very soon. We're all looking forward to getting this one out to people because I don't know about the other people that in the company, but with all honesty, all things considered, I work for Catan and everything. This is my favorite way to play Catan because, as I mentioned before, it adds a whole new level of depth of strategy without too much complexity and too much competition. A little bit more than traditional Catan, but not too much that anybody who has never played Catan can still pick this up pretty easily and get it and have a great time.
It's fantastic. It was one of my very first board games, so it's got a nice little place in my heart. I mean, my husband won't play with me anymore because I won.
So, go ahead.
What other civilizations are we going to be visiting in the history series?
Nothing is set in stone. We've done a few history games in the past. I mentioned Settlers of America, Merchants of Europe, Settlers of the Stone Age is an older title. We do some short print runoffs in the past. Germany, ancient Egypt, things like that. So there's always ideas percolating, but as of right now, nothing we're ready to talk about.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there any other details of things coming through the Catan Studio pipeline that maybe I could pry out of you?
That's a good question. So there are two things that are coming out later this year as well.
Okay.
We're all pushed back end here. In late October, we'll be working with a global organization that I cannot yet say because we're working on a joint press release with them to create a charitable scenario
Really?
that will introduce Catan players to this global organization. And then in November, we're going to be coming out with an expansion to a Game of Thrones Catan that will add a 5th and 6th player, but also more game elements. So traditionally, with all of Catan games, there's a 5 to 6 player expansion, which allows you to increase the number of players you play with, and then sometimes there's an additional expansion to the game, like Legends of the Sea Robbers, which adds more components and more rules and scenarios.
Right.
This is going to be a kind of a combination one product. So we're going to have additional hero cards. There's going to be a lovely mammoth sculpt that will add to the wildling invaders.
Nice.
And we're working on an official announcement with FFG for that because it's a joint release product, and that'll be officially announced later this month. But we're ready to tease it a little bit. So
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. So, Anne, do you have any more questions for Ian?
No, Ian, thank you so much for stopping by
Happy to be here.
and showing us Rise of the Incas. I'm really excited to get this game to my table.
Yeah. So it'll be 65 in the U.S.
Mhm.
And standalone game. It's going to have 150 plus some odd plastic components, and it's going to look great. I mean, it looks great already, but the final product will look great.
Where can our audience go to find out more information about the releases that you guys are doing? And
Great. So for any general news, go to Catan.com. Follow us on social media, @Catan for Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Catan, or @Catan Community if you want to actually type in the official URL. And our Instagram account is @Settlers of Catan.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming.
Ian, we really do appreciate
Chris
it.
high fives.
Bam.
Woo! Go team. All right, so thank all of you for watching. This is going to conclude our coverage here of Dice Tower Con 2018.
Oh, save the best for last.
Exactly. With that, I got to say, we had a wonderful time here. Thank all of you for watching one more time. Signing off, I'm Matt.
I'm Anne.
I'm Ian, but they weren't ready for that.
Have a good one, everyone. Take care.